Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Amanda and this is Confidence Mindset with Amanda. In this video, I want to talk about detaching from our desires and detaching from the outcome of how our desires come to pass. So, when we detach from our desires, it does not mean that we are letting go of what it is that we want. We detach from the stress, we detach from the anxiousness, and we detach from feeling like we have to be affirming all day, every day, or we're not going to get what we want. And really, when we get into conscious manifesting, we know that it's all about changing our thoughts. And so it's all about the repetition and what we are putting into our mind. It's all about minding our intrusive thoughts as much as we can with our mental diet, which can simply just be one sentence: only my positive thoughts create, which covers you for everything. But detaching from our desires can be difficult when we first get into manifesting what it is that we want. So I wanted to make a quick video on people who have had to detach our mind from harrowing circumstances, and also I want to make points on present people who are in their desire in different types of ways. So the first example I want to use is Viktor Frankl, who survived Auschwitz in the concentration camp in World War II. Now, anyone who knows the story of Viktor Frankl would have read Man's Search for Meaning. And in the book, he explains how harrowing the circumstances he was in, but he got this idea of his theory of logotherapy, and he hadn't fulfilled it in his life. He was only about 25. He was a psychiatrist. But when he got this theory of logotherapy, he had the idea that if you can condition your mind to overcome your circumstances in any way, you will become this person who inevitably overcomes their circumstances. So what he did was, when he was in the concentration camp, no matter what was going on, and you know how harrowing, we all know the story of how harrowing that experience was when we look back to history. But he sat down and he would visualize in his mind lecturing students on logotherapy, a theory that he had only just come up with in the camp and which he hadn't practiced, but he was imagining himself in the future, detaching his mind from what was going on, and this inevitably was keeping his desire alive in his mind, even though he was going through these circumstances. But this is what I say about the repetition. When we are repeating and repeating and repeating, our subconscious mind is going to start telling our mind and body that this is who we are now. Now, I understand that that is a very, sensitive topic, and I understand that, he is an exception as well too for survival. But however, it is a great story, a great motivational perspective from history to look at people like this who overcame what it was in their circumstances, and they attained the desire that they were looking to achieve. And the same can be said for Primo Levi, I believe, as well too. He was in the same situation, and he did the same thing by embodying the state of being alive, so that he survived what it was that he was going through as well too. So remember, embodying the state, but we embody the state by telling ourselves this new story over and over again, because when we get into this end state, it's a peaceful kind of state. But when we first get into conscious manifesting, we're going to be stressed and we're going to be anxious about the outcome, because really we're changing these thoughts in our mind that we have been experiencing for so long. And so it's going to be a little bit challenging to get over them, but it's only going to take a little time to get over the old story before you start experiencing the new story. So I know that I started that off with kind of harrowing and sensitive topics, but I wanted to make the idea known that your desire is yours. It's always yours. And yes, we can stress and we can have anxiety and we can have intrusive thoughts, but however, these things do not matter once we continue with our desire, once we continue to saturate our mind with our desire. I'm sure Viktor Frankl had terrible, terrible days where he was, in mental turmoil. But what he did was he detached himself from it by going back into his desire. And this is what we do every time we think about our desire and decide to choose to think from our desire with our new affirmations and our new thoughts. No matter what is going on around us, we continue to do this. I also wanted to bring up the topic of present day, more positive figures as well. Warren Buffett, for example. So we look at Warren Buffett, he is the wealthiest man in the world, I think. I'm not sure, but he's up there with Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos, whatever his last name is. But anyway, he is up there, and he is the richest man in the world. But he it's not about the money that he has attained in his life. Obviously, it's great, but he still lives in the same house that he bought back in the 1950s. He drives an older car. He eats McDonald's, and we all know the story of his diet. And but it's because he's in his desire. His desire was never about all of the money. It was really, he just loved the stock market so much. And when he gets up and he goes to work, he reads about 500 pages a day on finances and stock markets, and he saturates his mind with this. And this is what he's been doing since a very, very young age, saturating his mind with the stock market and becoming the stock market essentially. And as he's become it, this is the fruits of his labor then, not even labor, because he's becoming his desire, but all that money that he has earned because of being his desire, through saturating his mind, through reading everything every day, to getting to know the ideas of the stocks, how they work, because he loved it so much. And this is what we're doing when we are saturating our mind with our desire. Because remember, our subconscious mind, it does not know real from fake. It only picks up on emotions quicker, but at the same time, it'll still pick up on your robotic affirmations or whatever it is that you're doing over a period of time, because we are always the product of our thoughts. It's all about our thoughts. So if we look to these figures who are detaching from their circumstances, but all the while saturating their mind with the desire, not even knowing that as they are saturating their mind with the desire, what the outcome is going to be. Because Viktor Frankl, yes, he was saturating his mind with going into his mind and seeing himself lecturing on logotherapy. But however, he didn't know whether he was going to survive or not. He couldn't tell that outcome, but he still did what he was going to do. And this is what we say about our desires. If we continue to saturate ourselves and just become what it is that we want through the saturation of repetition, we are going to experience it in our reality, because it's just the way that it is. It's who we become. And even, I'm not sure if it was Primo Levi or Viktor Frankl. I have both books here, that's why I'm looking either side. I'm not sure which one now, that said that ones who survived Auschwitz were ones who actually had a greater belief in something greater. And yes, it may have been faith, religion, whatever, but really that sitting down and doing prayers or whatever was building that belief within themselves. Whether they knew they were going to survive or not, they still did it. And the repetition kept them going, if you get what I'm trying to say. It helped them detach from what was going on, whether they were going to survive or not. And inevitably, they were one of the majority, I think, that did actually survive. Now, that's why I'm talking about Warren Buffett now in this day and age too. It's not about all the money for him, because as we see, he doesn't even spend it, or in the way, he's not lavish at all. And really all it's ever been for him is about the stocks, because that's what he loved, that's his desire. And everything then, this is what I say, when opportunities and everything start opening up, once you start getting all that repetition into your mind, you become this desire through the repetition. It's all about the mindset, and that's what manifestation is. I have another book here as well. I'm sure somebody's read this as well, The Secrets of the Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker, I think. Same thing, all about the mind. He even says in this about the process of manifestation. Thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to actions, and actions lead to results. But remember, it's the thought. Everything begins with your thoughts, which he says here too, which are produced by your mind. everything. Manifestation is thought. It's about saturating your mind over and over again, so much so that you just become it. And this is why I say too, it's like, I'm sure, well, maybe Warren Buffett did know that he would become the wealthiest man one day. But however, when he first started out in the stock market, I'm sure that wasn't even his goal. I'm sure all he wanted to do was be the greatest person in stocks or whatever it is that he does. I'm sure that's all he wanted, was his desire. But then all these other opportunities start coming to you when you become what it is that you want. Because remember, when you are becoming what it is that you want, you don't need anyone or anything outside of you. You end up coming to the realization that as you are becoming this desire, you don't need it as much. This is how you end up detaching from it. It's like when you want a relationship, for example, and you start feeding your mind with affirmations about being in a relationship, and you start giving yourself the love, and you tell yourself how beautiful you are, and you tell yourself how an amazing partner you are, and you do this repetitively over and over and over again, what do you think your body's going to start doing? It's going to start moving in that way. It's going to start leading you to places where you're going to start meeting people, and you're going to start noticing that people are attracted to you. They're coming into your reality because they're attracted to the way your body is moving and the way that you are behaving, because of the story you keep telling yourself. So this is all manifestation is. It's not about techniques, it's not about anything. It's simply just saturating our minds with the exact story that we want to experience. Now, I know that it can be very hard to detach from negative thoughts and intrusive, thoughts that we may get. But the more that we overcome them, the more they disappear. This is why the mindset is the most important thing when it comes to manifesting what it is in your life, yes, but maintaining your manifestations. Because let's face it, we can manifest anything that we want. We're always manifesting, and we manifest things into our life when we're not even in a good state of mind. We can manifest relationships when we're not in a good state of mind, money, anything that we want when we're not in a good state of mind. But if we are not in the greatest state of mind, we won't really be able to maintain it. It's like, there's another book here as well. I know I have all the books out today, but think big. The magic of thinking big. A passage in here as well, when the guy was not understanding why his friends were in better positions than he was, even though he was a great worker and everything as well. He kept wondering why he wasn't getting the positions that they were getting. And then he ended up going through his mind, what was different between him and his friends. And he sat up all night, and he said that he was seeing that there was nothing different, and the only thing different was that he said, I lacked initiative because I didn't believe inside that I was worth very much. So once he got that little block out, that he didn't believe that he was worth very much, his friends obviously believed that they were worth what they were doing. He didn't. He said he sat up all night and he reviewed it. He had an interview then the next day, and he said for the first time he had this confidence in himself. He sold himself. He said, before coming for the interview, I'd hoped I would have courage to ask for $750 or maybe even $1,000 more than my present job was paying. But however, because he sat up and he realized that he was not believing in himself, and he got that, he realized that's what it was. So he started to build his confidence in himself overnight, telling himself that yes, you know what, he's really worthy of it. And as he did that, then he said, but now after realizing I was a valuable man, I upped it up to $3,500 and I got it. Because this is what it's all about. It's the mindset, this is what manifestation is, all about the mindset. And I know that I keep repeating this all the time, and I apologize for my repetition, but if we just get that idea out there, that we just keep saying that it's just our thoughts, we keep repeating our thoughts. I even have a quote here again by Dr. Joe Dispenza. As you all know, I love Dr. Joe Dispenza. But however, he talks about the quantum law. So we know about the quantum law. We're all in this quantum field where there's infinite possibilities, because we're all one consciousness and we're all connected. We were all created from the one source, and so there's all these infinite possibilities of ourselves and what we can experience in life. And he even says himself, if we wait for anything outside of us to make us happy, then we're not following quantum law, which means that we have to become what it is inside before we start to see it outside in our reality. And as I say again, we do this with a repetition of thought, redirecting our thought to the new story. And it doesn't have to take that long either. I mean, a habit becomes a habit within 21 days. So if you're telling yourself a story over and over and over again, even within a week, you'll probably start to notice the difference. And in 21 days, it'll become such a belief, you probably just be that desire. So remember, it's not going to take that long. Just always overcome your circumstances. But that's what he says. And as well, too, I have Jim Rohn. If anybody knows Jim Rohn, he as well too said that once he was told by his mentor that if he worked harder on himself than he did on his job, everything would fall into place. And that's what he did. He worked harder on himself than he did on his job. And that's what he did for the rest of his career, and what he taught everybody as well too. It's personal development. Everything is a personal development when it comes to manifestation. When it comes to maintaining our manifestations, of course, we can manifest things just like that, easy things and stuff that we want to manifest, but we want to keep our manifestations, and so we're maintaining it by becoming it. So I hope this video helps for anyone who is wanting to understand the idea of detaching from your manifestation. It's not so much about letting go of the desire. It's about becoming the desire in such a way that it releases all the stress and anxiety, if you get what I mean. So you do this by redirecting your thoughts, and you don't even have to be redirecting your thoughts on the desire. So you could be using other affirmations that imply that you are the desire as well too. So just wanted to make that video. I hope it helps for anyone, and thank you so much for all your likes, comments and subscribes, and I will chat to you soon.